Colts week.
Colts week.
Colts week.
Colts week.
Texans versus Indianapolis Colts this weekend. Sunday, the return of C.J. Stroud. D'Amico versus Shane Steichen, Volume 5. Texans looking to keep two paths in the playoffs and get in the division race. So there's a lot going on. It is SNL. Landry Locker and Cody Stutes are with you. Happy Thanksgiving week to all. Warning, the grocery stores are very wild right now. I will say it is a Black Friday vibe. Thought I would get there early today. I did. Very Black Friday-ish. I walked away with a black eye and about 20 stab wounds. It's very crazy on the grocery streets, but
grocery stores to be avoided until Friday morning, and then it's regular retail places that should be avoided.
Yes, it's a crazy vibe. It's crazy Colts week. I wanted to. We have a couple of things to get into when it comes to the Texans and the Colts, but you asked this question right off the top. Who's had their perception change more in 2 years, Daniel Jones or C.J. Stroud?
I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. And the reason I'm going with Daniel Jones is because 2 years ago, it looked like it was going to be a disaster in New York. Obviously, a year ago, he got the walking papers and he bounced around. He's on a practice squad. And then the Colts signed him as a reclamation project. And here we are right now. And the Colts have essentially signaled to us that he's going to be their quarterback for the next few years. Now, they don't have to make some sort of massive investment, and they could do something else, and they could certainly wait for these last few games to play out before they do any of that. But the way that they operated with their first-round picks, it signaled to me that they believe not only he's the guy, but he's the guy that can keep them in the playoff hunt and maybe take them where they haven't gone since Peyton Manning was there. And that just, to me, is wild, because this guy was a cast-off and the bane of Giants fans' existence 2 years ago.
Yeah, I would maybe say CJ, just because CJ was the toast of the NFL 2 years ago, and CJ was the most popular, in-demand type of guy, and now you're kind of at a point where you don't know if you feel comfortable giving him franchise quarterback money. It's going to happen, but you don't know if you're closer to what we saw yesterday with Brock Purdy and what we've seen with Trevor Lawrence, or if you're kind of creeping up on the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Mahomes kind of feel. And that's kind of me, because Daniel Jones, I still think the jury's out. I need to see a little bit more than a good half season from him, but I would say CJ Stroud. And I think we can kind of connect this to the first time CJ Stroud faced the Indianapolis Colts to Sunday and just what the vibe is. And I actually look back at CJ's debut against the Colts as the moment where he kind of established himself as someone who looked like, acted like a franchise quarterback. And in that game, he had a hurt shoulder. The offensive line was depleted. Both tackles, I think, were out. And he went out there and threw for damn near 400 yards, got roughed the F up. I think he got sacked 7 times, including the final play of the game, which wasn't even a sack, but he got flung to the ground by DeForest Buckner. And you look at how you felt about that guy after that game. And I've over-romanticized that game maybe into where it is now. I don't want to say he's broken. I just want to say, like, that same spirit that we saw in that early on, it does not seem to be, at least at certain points in his career since, it doesn't seem to be the same spirit that we saw when he first faced the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I mean, he went from 2 years ago to, yep, he's a franchise guy, franchise quarterback. Texans got him one, to now there's more questions. That to me is the biggest thing. Is there were a lot less questions at the end of 2023, and there's a lot more questions now here in 2025. And he's certainly got an opportunity to walk back into that starting job and answer some of those questions and climb back into that franchise conversation and get to a point where all of us would be thrilled or happy or excited that he got a big contract extension. And we wouldn't be sitting there scratching our head like, oh, we're not sure if our guy's going to be worth it. Like, I don't know, the 49ers are doing with Brock Purdy, the Jaguars are doing with Trevor Lawrence, as you mentioned, those as a couple of examples. So, yeah, that first start, and I remember you were kind of the one that had the story about, hey, got there early and had to do all the workouts and the stretches and the rehab to get his shoulder to where he could even play. And the defense didn't do him any favors early on. And then he kind of lit it up there in the second half and really turned the corner and took off from that moment on. And that was the start of 2023's really incredible season. And haven't seen that level of consistency since 2023.
Yep. I'm with you. And that's the thing is, you're talking about, is he closer? So someone in the chat said he's better than Trevor Lawrence. No shit. Like nobody's disputing that. But when it comes to paying the franchise quarterback and what we've been talking about for years, is he closer to Trevor Lawrence or is he closer to Josh Allen? I think that's really, is he closer to Brock Purdy and Trevor Lawrence, or is he closer to like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes? That's really kind of the question and the situation you find yourself in. And regardless of what the answer is, it becomes more difficult for the surroundings. But at that time, it was a no-brainer. At this point, you actually got to at least think about it just based on what we've seen. And surroundings can have to do with it too. But I just go back and at the time I was just completely impressed with how CJ handled himself in a losing effort. And I really look at that as kind of the turning point of that season, where the season could have gone a number of ways. And I think him going out there and battling hurt and performing the way he did and carrying himself the way he did afterwards, I think it did wonders. And I think without that performance, I don't know that he has the rookie season that he had. So I at the time, I thought it was an awesome performance. And then boom, Bobby Slowick slowly creeps his way out. And now we kind of wonder if the surroundings are there. And that's the other thing. Like Brock Purdy is getting paid like a franchise-ish quarterback because of his surroundings. I think we can agree. Trevor Lawrence is getting paid because of his talent. And that's just kind of the in-between thing. So sometimes that kind of happens, but we'll see how CJ finishes this season. And the good news is there's no like verdict on what you have to decide.
Yeah, that 2023 Colts game, he got going there in the second half and then marched into Jacksonville. And CJ himself this year mentioned that was where the switch kind of flipped for him as an offense in 2023. And they
beat the Steelers' ass, and it was all historic from there.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Shout out to Chris Sloan. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
Thank you, Chris.
Risque Barber says Texans plus 164 to make the playoffs. It's a tough bet. I did see the swing where if they win this Sunday, then I think the percentage goes down to 26%. Or if they lose, it goes down to 26%. And if they win, it's in the 70s.
If they lose 26, they win, it's in the 70s. Wow. That's a huge swing.
Yeah.
Because
Cap actually put that up. It's one of those things that,
I don't, was the swing even that significant in the Bills game? I remember seeing something in the Bills game. I think it was like, maybe it was around that, but
yeah, it was fat.
Well, you mentioned it with the additional avenue. Like you beat Indianapolis and the division avenue opens up to you. If you don't beat Indianapolis, the division avenue goes away.
Let's talk about this tight end crunch time stretch, which you've brought up so well. And I think this is going to be the biggest challenge for the Texans defense, where if you're trying to find flaws in the defense, I think the middle and that area of coverage is such a thing. But you've laid out this tight end stretch, and I think you've done so very well. And I think that could be what determines the fate of the Texans as they go down this tough stretch.
Yeah, so they get Tyler Warren this week, and here are the stats and the numbers for these guys. We get Tyler Warren. He's third, I think, in receiving yards amongst tight ends, 3 touchdowns on the year. And his stats don't really explain how useful he is to the Colts. Like they've used him so many different ways. He basically never has a negative play. He can affect the run game with his blocking and his toughness. And so you get him this week. And right after that, you get future Hall of Famer who's bounced back after a really bad down year last year in Travis Kelce. After that, about the only thing to worry about on the Arizona Cardinals is statistically the best tight end in football, Trey McBride. After that, Brock Bowers, who was the best rookie tight end ever a year ago and is still having a good season despite the fact that the Raiders are falling apart. That rookie out of L.A. with the Chargers is good, Gadsden, and then you get Tyler Warren again. And they had some success against George Kittle, but I don't know that was all the Texans as much as it felt like a little bit of inability of the 49ers in that game. But these tight ends, you don't really have a tight end solver unless DeMeco Ryans comes up with some sort of game plan. And obviously when you put attention on those guys, what does it take away from everybody else?
Yeah. And that's, I think Tyler Warren is the big key this week. And I've said this, I've hammered this home. I think Tyler Warren it was the scariest thing to happen to the Texans in the draft was Tyler Warren. And I don't even think it was close. Cam Ward going to the Titans, that's cute. The Jags trading up for Travis Hunter, that's cute. Like they made early splashes, but Tyler Warren falling to the Colts was the most significant thing. And I think he can be lipstick on the pig of any quarterback that they have in Indianapolis, which is really what they've basically had since Shane Steichen's been there. It's basically just been damaged goods and piggish quarterbacks. So I think a tight end can be a good equalizer. And when we watched the draft and when we were streaming during the draft, that was by far the most significant thing that happened. And I think that's played out beyond more, even before Travis Hunter got hurt. It was by far, it might've been one of the more significant things to happen maybe in the AFC, like offseason wise. Cause I do think there's a lot of stuff that Tyler Warren does that is even beyond the statistics and all that. So I can't believe they let it happen, but it happened. It's here. And it's this tough tight end stretch. You're going to get a 2-piece combo of that.
Yeah, we can thank the Chicago Bears for being total idiots and drafting not Tyler Warren at tight end and Colston Loveland. Loveland's had some decent moments, but he ain't Tyler Warren. And then we can also thank the dumbasses in Miami for drafting an anonymous defensive tackle. Like, I get that they're defensive tackle, but they traded away Jonnu Smith. They saw that offense click with Jonnu Smith, and Tyler Warren's Jonnu Smith on steroids. And it's like, now let's draft Kenneth Grant. And he's been like the 86th best defensive tackle in football this year. So good job. That's why you suck, Miami. Okay.
My theory is that the Miami Dolphins owner or GM or whatever, they got FedEx stock for trading Jonnu Smith to his buddy Arthur Smith. And that's why they made that move.
I wouldn't put it past that crooked bastard that owns the Miami Dolphins for doing that. He tried to get Brady and Belichick and all that kind of different stuff he's done before.
Yeah, the yacht or whatever the hell that was.
Stephen Ross, is that his name? Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Ross. Yeah, that was just a wild happening. Trill Kick X on the chat says, "What would CJ have to do to get pulled Sunday? Nothing. He's not getting pulled. Yeah, get hurt. Like he's not. He's the quarterback. They're going to ride it out. They got to figure out what's going on with CJ. If they get him right, that would be great. But there's nothing that's going to happen for CJ Stroud to get pulled on Sunday.
I would go as far, and this I'm speaking for me. I'm not saying the Texans would do this. I think he has 12 quarters of immunity. So 3 games, 12 quarters of immunity before I even have the thought about Davis Mills.
He's the quarterback through and through. They got to figure something out. And I
agree. And that's what I want to have happen. And that's what I hope happens. But I'm saying I'm giving him 12 quarters of immunity before I say or think or tweet or Instagram or Telegram or anything about Davis Mills.
I can't believe this next question is being asked. It's actually kind of fascinating given the overall body of work, but it's not as asinine of a question as it appears based on what we saw before CJ went down. And the question that you've asked is, will Nico Collins benefit or be hurt by the return of CJ Stroud?
I feel like it's a very valid and real question, just because of the way that it felt like CJ Stroud was almost beholden to the structure of that offense when it did have some success. Like hey, spread it around, dink and dunk, get it out of your hands. And it just like, I just remember in the San Fran game, it's like, wow, they really spread it around. And I know that they didn't have Nico Collins for that game, but like, that was like, oh, like CJ threw for 300, 2 touchdowns. The interception didn't matter because it was at the end of the half. It almost mattered, but it didn't. But they really spread that football around. And like, that's kind of the way it's supposed to look. And I'm just like, well, I kind of liked when Davis Mills just threw the thing to Nico Collins like 25 times in 2 weeks. Like, I kind of like that. Maybe do that more. And then, oh, wouldn't you know it, there was a giant offensive struggle when they couldn't find a way to get Nico Collins the football this past week. Like,
Yes.
It's wild how all of us can watch the games and just be like, yeah, when 12 gets the ball, their offense is way better. And Nick Caley can be like, I just can't get the ball to Nico. It's like, I watch every team get the ball to their guy, except for Nico Collins sometimes.
Yeah, and you look at what was going on with CJ. There was a couple of 7 target games. There was 8, and then the rest of the targets, it was 4 3 times and then 3 twice. And you wonder how defenses are playing. But in the Mills games, it was 7 9 and then 3 against Buffalo. So I do wonder if there's going to be a little bit more of a smart adjustment by coaches to focus more on Nico Collins. But the one thing I will say, we know that CJ Stroud and Nico Collins have shown for a long time that they can get on the same page relatively easy. And it would kind of be nice if Nick Caley, something that he takes away from that Buffalo game is whatever happened for Nico Collins to have 3 targets can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that means I got to throw him the ball sideways, whatever, like that cannot happen. And hopefully that's something they figure out. It's something that D'Amico is pretty open about. We need to throw the ball to Nico. It's not a, hey, well, let's see who the open man is. D'Amico Ryans has said it with his chest. We got to get the ball to Nico.
And he tries to sort of disarm the combo too, when he kind of like jokes about it. Like, yeah, we kind of want to get the ball to Nico. And then he gets real serious about, yeah, we got to make sure that he's getting the football. It's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, he's kind of joking, but he's also very serious about getting Nico Collins that football. And that's the thing too, is just like, I believe there are useful elements of this offense that even if the ball goes to Nico and it doesn't result in a reception, it still makes that opposing defense care, think, use assets to get ready for it. And maybe it opens up things for, CJ's return hopefully means something good for Jalen Noel. It seems like they have really good chemistry. And hopefully that clicks from the word go here this week. So I'm intrigued to see if this will be a positive for Nico Collins in CJ Stroud's return.
All right, what are the Texans going to do at running back? And this is my question. I think we can take this a step further. I'm not just saying when it comes to Chubb and Woody, but I mean, let's say that they need another running back. Are we a situation away from Jawar Jordan being active? Like, what are they doing? They said bye to, I'm asking. They said bye to Dameon Pierce. Like, what does the running back room look like? Right now they got 3. And one of them you feel really good about, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of depth.
Yeah, they probably could use another body or two at that position. You're right about that.
Yes.
I liked me some Jawar Jordan a couple years ago, or last year, whatever it was. But it hadn't quite shown up there. There's got to be some veteran body kicking around that they could add if they had to. Throw that guy on the practice squad and let him get used to everything. And I don't know. Are there any former Patriots that are free agents? We sure Rex Burkhead's done. Has Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis still in football shape?
How does Nick Caley feel about him? Who knows? Who will last longer, Shane Steichen or D'Amico Ryans? This is a wild ass question that you're asking here.
These two are clearly, to me, the 2 best coaches in the AFC South. There's not anybody Tennessee could go and hire that immediately gets in the conversation. And Cohen probably has a little bit of prove-it runway that he's got to go down before he gets there. But with these two kind of matching wits at the top of the AFC South, and I don't believe the Colts are going anywhere, even if they do invest in Daniel Jones. To me, that still puts a that puts a cap on where they can go, not necessarily, takes the bottom out from under them. It's like I feel like there's a chance D'Amico Ryans is going to outlast Steichen, just because if they kept hitting the wall in Indianapolis, they'd change a bunch of different things. Then they'd eventually have to change Steichen. But I like him a lot as a coach, and I think these two guys are going to duel for a very, very long time before either one of them are shown the door.
Yeah, I think Steichen's found himself in quarterback hell, and he's actually done a good job. He actually has more regular season wins than D'Amico, believe it or not. I know D'Amico's won the division in the playoff games. Shane Steichen actually has more wins with Anthony Richardson, Minshew, the ghost of Joe Flacco, and Daniel Jones. So he hasn't found his quarterback. I think if he does find a quarterback, I think it could be pretty dangerous. But I think D'Amico outlasts him, because I think there's like a sentiment with D'Amico, and I think there would be a clear path towards a regime change where you can separate D'Amico from Caserio. I don't know that you separate Ballard from Steichen, but I think Steichen's a good coach. I think he's done a good job with the card that he's been dealt. PP on the chat says 28-16 Texans dub. What y'all think? That would be a hell of a dub.
Wouldn't mind it. Wouldn't hurt my feelings.
That would be a hell of a dub. Next question from Cody. Could Jonathan Taylor become the next boogeyman for the Texans?
This is like, to me, like, he's had some really impressive performances in losses against the Texans. And it just feels like if they're going to beat the Houston Texans, it'd be one of those games where, okay, the Texans didn't stop Jonathan Taylor. I don't see Daniel Jones going out there and dicing up this defense. But if the Colts are going to take down the Texans, it feels like it'd be the start of, there's always a boogeyman in this matchup. Forever it was Peyton Manning, T.Y. Hilton, and Nico Collins in the past couple of times that he's been out there against the Colts. I just wonder if Taylor, if this spot with this defense, how good they've been against running backs, how good they were against McCaffrey, who's the only guy that's really, in Taylor's stratosphere this year. And it's like, oh, if Jonathan Taylor got loose on this Texans defense, like, okay, great. The Colts got another boogeyman for the Texans.
Yeah. Look, I mean, his best performance was definitely week 18 of 2023, where he was banged up. He got hurt. Some say he shouldn't have been on the sidelines. I would say that the running back should probably catch that pass. It was a pretty good play call. But I find it hard to believe that someone is just going to roast a D'Amico Ryans defense, because there was a time where Derrick Henry was that guy. And I know it's a small sample size, but D'Amico kept him in check relatively well when he's seen Derrick Henry with the Titans. Now, Ravens kind of hit or miss, but D'Amico's done a pretty good job with that. So I don't know that Jonathan Taylor is necessarily going to be the boogeyman. If you ask me who the current boogeyman is for the Texans, I think it's John Harbaugh or Lamar Jackson or someone in Baltimore. The Texans have done a pretty good job. D'Amico's 3-1 against the Colts. So I don't think so. I think they'll be able to keep Jonathan Taylor relatively in check. So if there is going to be a boogeyman, I don't think it's going to be him. That's like, as I kind of think about paths to victory, like Jonathan Taylor having a huge day against a Texans defense that really hasn't been abused by a running back this year. That to me would be the path to victory there for the Colts. Jalen Petrie, he's probably going to play this week. What is his impact when he's back? I think he's going to be challenged. I could see Shane Steichen challenging Jalen Petrie. He obviously helps. I do find it interesting how effective the Texans were against the Bills without Petrie. But he obviously makes your defense better, I think. But I do go back to the original question that we had on this discussion about the Colts, and like the tight end, the vulnerability that I think you kind of connect that to Petrie. This is going to be his biggest test, and he's going to have his hands full, assuming that he's lined up against the opposing tight end. And I would assume that is going to be the case pretty often.
Like, I feel a lot better about Jalen Petrie doing what he's asked to do than Miles Bryant trying to do what Jalen Petrie did. I just still don't feel great about – Petrie's had a really solid season, and teams haven't picked on him as much as we have thought they were going to pick on him. But this feels like the type of opponent with Downs and with Warren that they may try to pick on Jalen Petrie. They may try to pick on those linebackers and get that non-coverage expert part of the defense and really kind of. But if Petrie's having a good day, that really, and you add that level of player when Petrie's having a good day into what we saw with Buffalo, and that's a really good. I mean, it's a really good addition for already good defense.
Yeah, and they talk about how important he is. He was having a pretty good year before he went down. What are the Colts going to do with Anthony Richardson? One of the biggest moments of Steichen versus D'Amico. There have been a few. I would say the winner go home is number one. I would say number two, most epic moment is the Anthony Richardson tap out. That was, I think, October of last year. We're over a year there. Anthony Richardson, I would say they let him go sooner rather than later. Maybe they get like a day 3 draft pick for someone that wants to kick the tires, but I would say Anthony Richardson is probably in his last season with the Colts this year. Now, when you hear Daniel Jones has that hurt fibula, we might see him on the field, which would be interesting with how frustrating at times he's been for Shane Steichen.
I'm very interested to see if there's somebody that's going to think Anthony Richardson's got oh yeah, we'll figure something out with Anthony Richardson. We'll take a swing at him. And just kind of see, there's got to be some team out there that's got to be like, oh yeah, we can fix him. Shane Steichen, one of the best coaches in football, couldn't fix him, but we'll fix him.
Yeah, we saw the Cowboys kick the tires on Trey Lance. Crazier things have happened than that. For sure, there's been a thing, but I just the Anthony Richardson thing is just kind of amusing. It was kind of amusing leading into the draft. By the way, speaking of which, his college teammate Dameon Pierce, I did a call in today in Kansas City. They were asking for a scouting report on Dameon Pierce. This is Carrington Harrison. He's like,
what?
I mean, he just knew I would be honest about it. So it was just a 4-minute hit. And I was just like, yeah, he doesn't have good vision. I think he's worn out. He gets hurt. They're like, well, can he catch? I was like, not really. He's not really a good pass blocker. Not a great kick returner. Pretty nice guy, though. But Kansas City, maybe they can revive his career. But, yeah, not seeing a lot from Dameon Pierce.
I can't believe that many people are talking about Dameon Pierce ending up on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't know. So, Cody is in witness protection, if y'all didn't know. He's got the feds on him. It's been a long process for Cody, but he's in witness protection. So pour one out for Cody Stutz. We'll see what happens with his dial-up, his AOL Instant Messenger. If you need to hit Cody up, it's Cody Stutz at AOL.com.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Jay France says, great meeting you guys at Spanky's. Great Jay Fance, excuse me. Great meeting you, my friend. We're going to be back at Spanky's this upcoming month. We're also going to be in another part of town that we'll tell you about on Friday. But yeah, Spanky's gatherings aren't going anywhere. Shout out to the greatness that is Spanky's, homemade dough, homemade sauce, and really the home base for SNL. We had people from Austin, San Antonio, Georgia, obviously Houston. It's a fun time. And my God, I pigged out per the usual.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun when we go to Spanky's. So appreciate everybody visiting with us at Spanky's and coming out. And if you make the trip to come out to Spanky's, you picked a great one. We had a blast on that show, and great to see McLean out there and all the people from the audience from all across the country. Because, as you mentioned, Georgia in there as well.
And Cody used that TDECU Texans debit card. It came in handy because we bought everyone's first drink. And not only can Cody buy your drinks at Spanky's, the greatness that is Spanky's, Sharpstown. By the way, pasta day today. I think it's $7. Pasta, lasagna, spaghetti, all of it. Fettuccine Alfredo, $7 pasta at Spanky's. But Cody can also get 15% off his Texans gear with that TDECU Texans debit card.
Yeah, they got great deals for you at TDECU. Membership's required. They're insured by the NCUA, but there's so many benefits and perks to being a member at TDECU, including that Texans debit card. You get 15% off the online team store. You could get exclusive access to events at NRG Stadium. TDECU.org/Texans has all the information there for you. You can start getting signed up right there online. You just have to be a resident of the state of Texas to be a member at TDECU, and then the perks start coming your way, the different kinds of checking accounts and savings accounts. And if you want to have your business accounts with them, they'd be happy to have your business accounts over there at TDECU. They could do more with your money at TDECU. So trust them with your cash, and your credit union is not just a slogan. They mean it, and they work for you constantly, giving you all the fantastic perks when you're a member at TDECU.
Yippers. Shout out to the greatness that is TDECU. Shout out to the greatness that is Spanky. Shout out to the greatness that is Colts Week.
Colts Week.
Trey Calhoun on Z Chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Trey says, I'm honestly afraid of us making the playoffs because if we do that, it means our offense did just enough not to lose games and we bring back Kaylee for another year. Here's my thing. And I get what I get what you're saying. Like, could they be blinded by that? But I don't see how they could look at it that way, given the fact that they made the playoffs last year, they won the division last year, and they proactively made a change. So I don't like Bobby Slowick didn't get that luxury after one good year. I don't know that you can look at it that way, but you could be right. And they could just say, we don't want to switch OCs for the third straight year. Quite frankly, I wouldn't hold it against D'Amico Ryans. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't hold it against D'Amico Ryans if he switched again, because I think this was a compromise. I think it's clear this was a compromise to go back to the Patriots way. But if CJ Stroud hasn't made progress from year 2 to year 3, you got to evaluate it and you got to figure out what the hell the situation is. So it shouldn't be that way, but you could be right. That would be just enough to justify it. But I will say this, if it looks like it did last week, I don't think D'Amico Ryans is going to let that fly.
No, not at all. And your point about Bobby is the biggest one, is they fired a guy after they went to the playoffs because the offense was in the way last year. And if this guy has shown the inability to elevate and you don't believe in him, like, time's a ticking. Like, you don't have like this great giant long runway to figure out the offense. Like, it needs to get good and it needs to get better faster. And if they got to move on, I mean, the McNairs don't have a problem writing a check and making somebody go away. They've done that tons of times. So see you later, Nick Kaylee. Have another offensive coordinator search, and we can go over all 4+ candidates that I'll put on the eventual OC list.
This is Casario's hire. Like, Nick Kaylee is Casario's hire, and Bobby was D'Amico's, and I don't fault the Bobby hire. And the Kaylee hire was fine at the time. I didn't know he was running New England offense. I thought this was going to be more Rams. So look, it's not as simple as, oh my God, D'Amico, what are you doing? Because quite frankly, I think the reason that they made the playoffs last year and were able to win a playoff game was because of D'Amico and his side of the rock. And if it happens this year, it looks like it'll be his side of the rock too. So I think this would be a Caserio thing, but who knows? I do. We'll visit it when it happens, but right now I've just laid it out. It was get to 5-5. It's get to 10 wins at this point, and then we'll adjust accordingly and really win this game. It opens up a hell of a lot more avenues for you. 2 paths.
10 and hope you get in.
10 and hope you get in. Yes, that's the motto for the Texans. We talk a lot about CJ Stroud, but Will Anderson. I almost said CJ Anderson. You might as well be able to say that.
CJ Anderson, by the way, might be better running back than Dameon Pierce right now.
But the compromise between the Texans when they probably were arguing 2 prospects, and I think we discussed this heading into the draft, and they compromised and went and got both. It's apparent D'Amico was probably the Will Anderson guy. If you don't believe me, let's hear from the coach himself.
I remember I wasn't even thinking about Will at this time, but I remember when Will was a rookie at Alabama, my older brother, he called me and was like, hey man, whenever you get a chance, this guy from Alabama, you need to get him on your team. It's like, all right, I'll check him out. And then who knows, like full circle moment, like come when I had a chance to actually be in a position to draft him, like, yeah, my brother was right. He was spot on. I needed to get number 31, and I'm happy he's here with us.
It's also crazy to me that Will Anderson wore 31 in college, which is just he doesn't care about a cool number, which is
he made it cool though. I mean, he was the immediate toast of the of the broadcast from the second he went there. So yeah, but yeah, it was an interesting compromise. I'd wonder what what it would look like had they not done that. And either if you don't have the quarterback, you can be in Indianapolis's spot right now. Like if you go with Will and not CJ, you could very easily be in Indianapolis's spot. Maybe you get in the draft the next year and you're talking about maybe Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels or something like that. Like maybe in like some alternate universe. But yeah, and then if you take CJ and you don't take Will, maybe you're talking about CJ and JSN. But it was a good compromise, and I think I think that was the first major compromise between D'Amico and Caserio, and then I think the Nick Caley or organization, whether it's Caserio or whatever, and then I think the Nick Caley hire was the next compromise. So I think they've done a good job of compromising. Some compromises better than others.
I mean, I'm sure one thing that I think is funny about that story too is D'Amico Ryans wasn't even the DC in San Francisco yet. He was still just a linebackers coach. I mean, he probably could see where it was going to maybe be the opportunity for him.
I'm sure his brother's a big Bama fan, though.
That's my thought. Is his brother was probably like watching Alabama games, was like, "Hey, this guy's going to be great for you when you're a DC or maybe when you're a head coach." Most of those Bama guys, they walk on the field, it's going to be three and go. Like yes. Will Anderson from day one was probably a 3-and-go guy. And then certainly after what he did his second season, he was definitely a going after the 2022.
Yeah, no doubt about it. James R. .160 on Z chat.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Can't wait for Ohio State to win 2 playoff games. Yeah, I got $100 bet. I said they wouldn't win 2 playoff games. I don't know why I did that. I think I was just talking crap, but
this upcoming Ohio State, like this version of Ohio State.
Yeah, I took the under 1.5 playoff wins. Yeah, it's just whatever.
Well, okay, so they're going to have a bye.
That doesn't count. You got to win 2 games.
Right. But all the teams that had a bye last year lost.
Yeah. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I just made the bet. Why not? Coin toss. Let's see what happens.
I mean, gosh, I wonder. I mean, they could certainly get upset. Yeah. Because Ohio State beat Oregon, Texas beat Arizona State, Notre Dame beat Georgia, and Penn State beat Boise State.
Okay. So there we go.
All the teams with byes lost.
So there you go.
It could definitely happen to Ohio State. I mean, they beat the number 1 last year.
Go ahead.
I would not have taken that bet. That feels like a bad bet.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Let's do a little Thanksgiving hackage with D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans asked about Thanksgiving dinner. And this is what D'Amico's Thanksgiving hot take was.
Cranberry depends on how good the dressing is. No,
it can't come out of the can.
Yeah, it can't come out of the can. No, but
the traditional food.
Yeah.
What's a must-have?
The traditional. I'm always traditional. For me, it's having the mac and cheese, the sweet potato pie. But as I told our guys too, I told them, hey, we can save that food for another day this week. I mean, we're focused on the Colts. But happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you guys enjoy that time with your family. We will be working.
Yes, not that, but the Texans have Thursday's typically their toughest practice. So tough practice Thursday for the Texans.
Yeah, there's not going to be as much eating. According to Trent Brown, he doesn't eat. So yeah, there's that.
I mean, if I asked Trent Brown, he might say, "Well, I really don't eat that much Thanksgiving food." Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I really bought that from him though.
Yeah, it is curious. Maybe what he eats, he doesn't think is a lot, just because he's always eaten a lot because he's always been a large human.
Yeah, it feels like you got to eat a lot, like just to fill that tank. But
that's
whatever.
my excuse for why I eat so much.
Yeah. Okay. If you owned a team, would you act like Irsay's daughter, Carly Irsay Gordon? I didn't even know that was her name. Carly Irsay Gordon. Would you act like her? Would you put the headset on?
So for those who don't know, she's like the main owner person now for the Colts after Jim Irsay died. And she stands on the sideline with a notebook, and she gets to hear Shane Steichen's conversations in her headset. So she hears what happens. And she's talked about it a couple of times, like, oh, we think that this guy didn't do well, and sometimes the coach messed up or this and that. I feel like Steichen can say it doesn't bother him or whatever. This is your boss too close to you. Your boss should not observe you this close. Like, whatever your field of work, your boss should not be observing you as close as she's observing Steichen. On the sideline with a headset, that feels like a little much.
Well, she's getting a lot of praise for it. She was early. It was like, oh yeah, let's I don't have a problem with it. I doubt she's meddling. I think she's maybe just like consuming. I don't think she's probably telling him what to do. I think it's interesting. Quite frankly, the bar's low. Like Jim Irsay, let's just be honest, rest in peace, great character, but like on the back end, he was an absolute dumpster fire as an owner. So like the bar is low. Like you could do a lot worse than whatever the hell she's doing. So the bar, he laid a good foundation there for her during his good years, but on the back end, the Jim Irsay situation, not great. So she's kind of got a little bit of leeway. And oh, by the way, they started out hot as any team in the league. So it was hard to criticize. But if they start losing and stuff, it probably becomes a little bit more of a bit. But I don't know if I would have the headset on. I would probably just be chilling. Like I would probably just be chilling in the owner's box.
Which brings me to my next question. What type of owner would the other person be? You would be you'd be the chilling in the owner. You'd be chilling in the box as the owner, and you'd have the GM sitting next to you, and you'd be running him down if the guys he picked sucked. You'd be giving him a hard ass time.
Oh, we're having. I would have more media availability than Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones does 2 hits a week. I'm doing 5. I'm doing 5, and I'm firing up at anybody and everybody in the owner suite. You would be.
Don't say something stupid now. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I would be Al Davis. I would be meddling in everything. And I probably would not do a good job doing that. I would fire coaches quick. I would draft guys that I thought are awesome that probably would not be awesome, although feels like a lot of my draft crushes from this past year have been pretty good football players. Tate Ratledge. But I would be Al Davis. I would be meddling in everything. And guys they'd be walking down the hallways afraid to make me mad.
I would probably be. I don't know that you would be Al Davis. I think you would be more. Let me think. I think you'd be more like Shad Khan.
Like kind of involved, but like just enough where it's like he doesn't do everything, but he does enough.
Yeah, you're Shad Khan.
I'm Shad Khan. Got my kid running a wrestling promotion and in the war room for draft day.
That guy. Is he take over when Shad Khan hands it down?
My assumption is that the Jaguars will pass to him if something ever happened to Shad Khan.
Oh my God.
Which if he runs the football team like he runs the wrestling show, it's going to be a bunch of other players, other teams' players that are way past their prime.
Yeah. Oh my God. Truth asks, why no Spanky's Golf Gate?
And we go where they tell us to go.
This is just kind of our home base. It's kind of our home base. It's a good layout. Love it. We love the Spanky's Golf Gate though. Can't complain about that at all. Any of them. They're all great. There's no doubt. All right. Well, tomorrow we got a practice. So there is a practice. When is Kaylee speaking, by the way? Is he speaking tomorrow?
My assumption for tomorrow is that we'll get D'Amico Ryans, Nick Caley, and CJ Stroud at the conclusion of him passing concussion protocol.
Okay. Yeah, because there's no
There's no Thursday availability, which is typically coordinators.
Okay, yeah, because obviously we have a different layout now with what's going on with Thanksgiving. So they'll be there, but we will not. So
Correct.
all right. Anyway,
I think one year O'Brien had Thanksgiving availability.
yeah,
And I
who
don't-
showed up? Who showed up?
I did.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
Aaron was definitely there.
I think that was in the area.
Aaron goes to everything. I think he went to like 6 events this weekend. Like he was at Tim Settle's, he was at Nico's, he was at CJ's, like he was at every person's like charity event, all of them.
It's impressive sometimes.
No, it's beyond impressive. Like he's at every event. The events. Ricardo says location hint. We're going to be at Spanky's twice. You already know where that is, Sharpstown. Location hint. Go ahead.
North side.
North side. Okay. Shout out to the north. Okay.
We'll tell you Friday.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. And just win, baby, as Cody Al Davis would tell you.